Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. I'm actually going to introduce myself in this one because I've done like 5 or 6 videos now and I haven't ever told you what my name is. My name is Matt. I'm hosting the show. Very nice to meet you. If you like the content and you want to see more, please do me the distinct honour of subscribing, sharing, liking, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. So we've got some transfer news to talk about. We're in the brand new flash window, right? The 10 days leading up to the Club World Cup. We are allowed to make some changes. There's probably going to be some ins and outs to help bolster our squad to try and win the competition. So already, although I haven't officially seen it yet, it feels like the world's worst kept secret that Liam Delap is going to be a Chelsea player. If there's a hijacking at this stage, I'm going to be screwing, man. Do you remember the Willian thing? Do you remember what we did with William where he was literally like at Tottenham and then we were like, hey, come and join us. And he was like, okay. If something like that happens to us with Liam Delap, I'll be really, really disappointed. But it does feel super advanced. And if all is true, we're looking at a 6-year deal for £30 million. You would imagine that he's going to be on the same progressive wage structure that, you know, the rest of the guys we bought recently, pretty much everyone bar Reece James is on. And yeah, a striker from the Premier League. Wicked. Can't believe we finally bought a striker from the Premier League. Get him on board. Get him in the shirt. Let's see how he does at the Club World Cup. But I'm actually really excited about this one. But there's some other stuff to talk about. So let's talk about the sad stuff first. I say sad, it's not really that bad, but it does look like, as it has been every year since we've had these owners, summer is going to see a lot of outgoings. Now, I've just released a series of videos on my channel called Keep, Loan or Sell. I split it into 4 parts and I covered our whole squad in massive detail. And interestingly enough, a lot of the names that I'm seeing being sold are ones that I said I would sell. I mean, I guess that's not super interesting. I guess that just makes it painstakingly obvious, doesn't it? But there are a couple of surprise names on the list of potential sales that I would be a little bit disappointed to see. So the ones that you can kind of expect are ranging from people like Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, Renato Vega, Ben Chilwell. Do you know what I mean? All of these guys that have obviously no place at the club are out on loan at the moment on huge wages. The really obvious ones are all pretty much going to go. Anyone that we can make some money or save some money on is probably going to be sold. That's probably just what's going to happen. But the 2 that I have seen, I can only hope that this is just tabloid news reporting and nothing more, but it looks like we are going to consider offers for Noni Madueke and Petrovic, right? Jordi Petrovic. We'll start with Madueke. Madueke, I'd be really disappointed to see him go. I said in my video, please go and watch it. I'll cut it down real short because all of the information is really in there. But I said ultimately, I think we should probably keep him. And if he can't get into the team amongst all these other players that are going to be either coming back from loans or that we're going to bring in, then I can see him being sold in the future. It makes more sense with Madueke than with Neto. Because even though Madueke looks like he could put up more numbers, we paid less for Madueke and he's a little bit younger, so his stock is higher. So if Maresca's had him for a season and just isn't feeling him, and obviously you can see Pedro puts the work in, man. Pedro really, really puts the work in. He looks like a solid member of the team at the moment. Yeah, I can see, you know, Madueke would probably get good money for. You know, I still think 50-60 mil for Madueke. Depends on who comes in for him, obviously. But I imagine there's a lot of teams that would be really interested in having a Noni Madueke on their team. I would hate to see him go. I really like him. I like his attitude. I like the fact that he's a bit arrogant. I don't think we have enough of that. I think he needs to rein it in and, you know, mould it and kind of turn it, find a way to channel it properly and, you know, start getting some numbers at the end of the day. But yeah, Noni Madueke's been talked about going. I'd be sad to see him go. I kind of hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, I understand. And with Esteval Willian coming in and Pedro Neto looking wicked on the right and Cole Palmer able to play out there, it's a pretty stacked area, isn't it, to be honest? And we've bought Giovanni Quenda as well from Sporting. That's another young left-footed right winger. We are really, really stacked in that position. So I did kind of always think if we were going to sell one of these players, Madueke is a really, kind of hot option for making a few quid off of. So Jordi Petrovic, this kind of terrifies me a little bit because, transfer season's going or whatever, but what we're not seeing this link with is goalkeepers, right? There's been a bit of talk about Gregor Kobel. He looks all right. I know Mike Penders is somewhere in the stratosphere hanging around on loan, or I can't even remember, man. There's so many players to keep up with now, it's so hard. But I know Mike Penders is supposedly the Courtois regen that we're all waiting for. Hopefully not a proper regen, because he'll snake us like Courtois did. Oh man, that sucked, didn't it? But yeah, Jordi Petrovic, he's had a really good season at Strasbourg, and I guess what that means is his stock has risen. It's weird, isn't it? Because we all saw him, and he kind of saved this a little bit in the Pochettino days. Sanchez was looking dread on the pitch, man. Sanchez was like, every time the ball came towards him, he had like a panic attack. Do you know what I mean? It was just, every time there was an attack on, you just felt like something bad was going to happen. And for me, that was almost entirely radiated through Sanchez. Do you know what I mean? His aura was just like non-existent. And as soon as Petrovic came in, even though he was young, like Petrovic backed himself to be our number one. And I love that confidence. And you see it. He let a couple of goals in and stuff, but he didn't make huge amounts of fumbles. And not even just that. Do you know what I mean? Is like a confident goalkeeper makes his backline play better, because they don't have to worry as much about him. So what does this mean? Does this mean that we're going to keep Sanchez for another year? I mean, I did actually see Sanchez on the same list as I saw Jordi Petrovic, just for disclosure. So hopefully it just means we're going to go out and get someone. I don't think we're going to bring Mike Penders in and throw him into the first team. That seems like a recipe for disaster, doesn't it? So hopefully we go out there and get a Gregor Kobel or the Irish guy from Liverpool, Kera, can't remember his name exactly, but they've got a new keeper coming in, so he's going to be available. Maybe, I don't even know. But if losing Petrovic means we're going to be stuck with Sanchez for another season, I can't back that decision, man. Help us, please, somebody help us. That we need the goalkeeping gods to save us. Oh man, what if Kepa comes back? I don't even know if he's got any time left on his contract. Man, the goalkeeper situation is an absolute mess, isn't it? And Jordi Petrovic potentially being on the way out does not help that. So the squad's looking to be trimmed down. Now, ultimately, that's a good thing, right? Because a lot of our loan spots are taken up by players that we're not sending out to develop. You've got your Axel Disassis and your Ben Chilwells and your Joao Felix and Renato Vega. These are players that we're not sending out to go and get better so they can come back to us and we can try and integrate them into the first team. These are players that we've just got, and for one reason or another, we can't figure out what to do with. So we send them out on loan just so we can save a bit of money on their wages. So trimming down the squad's a good thing, because Tyreek George needs a loan, Mark Gui needs a loan, and in turn that allows people like Reggie Walsh to come into Tyreek George's spot, for instance. If Tyreek George goes out on loan, Reggie Walsh can come in and be in the squad a bit more, be in and around the squad a bit more. That's a really important part of player development, isn't it? We need to be using, because obviously we've got limited loan spots now, and that is our fault, because we used to have the loan army. Obviously we had like 30 to 40 players out on loan a season at one point, and they just came in, didn't they? The uppers just came in and said, no, you can't do that anymore. So we spoiled it for ourselves, but that makes these spots even more valuable now. So trimming down the squad is a good idea. Get rid of Joao Felix, get rid of Axel Disassi, get rid of Ben Chilwell, get rid of Renato Vega, because if he just doesn't want to be here, then sell him, make a few quid, and let's free up that spot for someone that will actually benefit from it, right? So there is another deal done today. When we bought Giovanni Quenda from Sporting Lisbon, we actually also bought a central midfielder, 20 years old, called Dario Asugo. Haven't seen a lot about him. Feels a little bit like another Leslie Ugochukwu kind of buy for us. Do you know what I mean? Just see if he comes in and does well. If not, Ugochukwu's on that list as well about players that are, being made available for sale. And Asugo comes in and essentially takes that kind of spot, doesn't he? If he's not expecting to play a lot and maybe he comes in and surprises us, I guess we do need a solid backup for Caicedo, because he played a lot of games this year. You know what I mean? He played a lot of games this year, but, worst case scenario, we need to be able to cover that position. So yeah, Dario Asugo, let's see what happens. It's been confirmed, 18 mil, 20 years old. Cool, bring it on. Let's have a look. And as for transfer targets, there are 2 names circulating out there. I mean, there's a million names circulating, right? Like, everyone is always linked with Chelsea these days. They do it on purpose to try and get moves and contracts and all sorts of stuff. Chelsea are literally leveraged by agents all over the world in order to make things happen for their players. But there are 2 in particular that are circulating quite a lot at the moment, to the point where you start to think, okay, this feels like a bit more than just like a transfer windmill rumour type of thing. thing. This feels like it actually could be a thing. And those two names are Jamie Gittins and Jared Branthwaite. So Jamie Gittins is a 20-year-old right-footed left winger. We need someone like that. 50 mil, quite a lot for a 20-year-old. We've done it before. We've spent a lot more than that on Mykhailo Mudryk. Do you know what I mean? He looks like a pretty good player, though. He looks good. He's played like 32 league games for Dortmund this season. He's scored 12 goals across all competitions and like 4 assists. So, 16 goal involvements over a season for a 20-year-old. It's difficult to nail your colours to the mast and say, yes, I believe in this, because the Bundesliga is such a gamble, right? Buying players from the Bundesliga, you could get Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland, or you could get Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. I know Kai Havertz has been okay for Arsenal, but he was dread for us, man. It was not good at all. So Jamie Gittins, he looks better than what we've already got. Mykhailo Mudryk, who knows what's going on with him? What an absolute mess that is. So, he's probably not going to be playing for us next year, is he? And it already kind of looked like that he wasn't going to make it even before all of this kind of stuff. It wasn't like, it was all really exciting with Mykhailo Mudryk. And then the drug ban came along. It was like, nah, man, he was getting criticised a lot, and it was not looking fantastic. And yeah, the only other two options we can really talk about are Jadon Sancho, which is still up in the air. Are we going to buy him? Are we going to send him back to United? I think we'll buy him and sell him. I think that'll be an in-out situation, because we'll make some quick money off of that. 25 mil for Jadon Sancho for us is a steal. When you consider, for instance, we paid 45 mil for Axel Disasi, or 40 mil for João Felix as well. So yeah, I think we'd get 30, 35, 40 mil for Jadon Sancho. I think he'll be in and out. And the only other option there really is Tyreek George. And I think it's too soon to throw Tyreek George into the first team, or even as the first backup. Do you know what I mean? I think Tyreek George, as I kind of said before, needs to go out and get that loan spell, doesn't he? We need to send Tyreek George out to get that loan spell. And that seems to make the most sense for him at the moment. So what are we really left with, especially if we're looking at selling Madueke, who has been featuring on the left a little bit recently? I suppose there's an argument to be had about Nicholas Jackson, right? Because if we're getting Liam Delap, there's lots of conversations about other strikers still happening as well, like Gyökeres or Osimhen or Ekitike. So if we do buy another striker, then we're going to have 2 number 9s, and then all of a sudden, Nicholas Jackson, what do we do, Nicholas Jackson? Maybe he becomes that supplementary left-winger striker option, and he gets more game time out there. So yeah, I guess Jamie Gittins makes sense. We kind of need someone. I know there was talk about Rodrigo, and although, don't get me wrong, absolutely wicked looking player, and a lot of his teammates have got a lot of really good stuff to say about him. Eden Hazard was like, this is the boy, don't worry about Vinny, and don't worry about Bellingham and Mbappe and all that. He's like, Rodrigo's your man. But ultimately it's the money thing again, isn't it? He'd cost a bit more, and his wage is going to be really high. So you've got to think Jamie Gittins is probably going to come in on the same kind of deal that Cole Palmer was on, something like that. Also another Man City Academy graduate, by the way. We are really stocking up on those, aren't we? So yeah, I am for Jamie Gittins, I guess, but I feel like that's just because we haven't really got much other choice or options. Nico Williams, Rafa Leao, all of these other guys, Rodrigo, they're just going to cost too much, aren't they? And if they cost all this money and they come in and bomb, then it's an absolute nightmare. If we buy Jamie Gittins for 50 mil, pay him a reasonable wage, and he doesn't set the world alight, then it's not going to tear the walls down, is it? It's just going to be like, okay, cool, we'll move on to the next one. So yeah, Jamie Gittins, tentative thumbs up from me, I guess. Okay, the next one, bit of a weird one. Jared Branthwaite. So I know we're being linked with centre-backs. Centre-backs is a funny one, isn't it? What's going on with our... there's so many messy little situations in our club, isn't it? And the centre-back situation is another one. Levi Colwill is the guy. Not necessarily like... he's not necessarily the next coming of John Terry or whatever, but he looks really good, and he's playing all the time. Do you know what I mean? We put him on a long deal. They look like they are committed to developing Levi Colwill into that player, and I'm here for it. He's done well. He can do better, but he's done well enough to get us into 4th. And if he's got other better players around him, he contributes to that team. No worries about that. And then we don't have a really obvious first choice right-footed, right-sided centre-back, do we? So this is why the Jared Branthwaite thing, I think, is a bit weird, because he is a left-footer. Now, supposedly two-footed, do you know what I mean? Supposedly he's quite handy on his right foot as well. But considering that this right-sided centre-back is, going to be largely playing on the outside of a 3, you would think that being right-footed is going to be really important there. So the other player that we've been linked with, although I haven't seen much recently, is Mark Guehi, right? And I'm totally for that. Mark Guehi is the prime example of a Chelsea decision that we did badly. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe it was the right thing to do, because look at the player that he's turned into. Would he have turned into that with us? Maybe, maybe not. But for me, Mark Guehi, he's captain material, he's got leadership, he's solid, he's an international, do you know what I mean? He was our best player in the Euros, man. Well, arguably our best player in the Euros. And you got to think that Mark Guehi would just come in and kind of shore things up at the moment. He's not exactly a Virgil van Dijk, but he definitely improves what we've got at the moment. Pour one out for Trevor Chalobah, right? Pour one out for Trevor Chalobah. Man can't do enough to get into the team. Unless he was the next coming of Virgil van Dijk, I don't really think he ever had a chance. Just because he is a academy player who has a lot of Premier League experience now, and he's got the Blue Co guys with dollar signs in their eyes. Do you know what I mean? He's just going to make loads of money. So I'd be quite happy to say, give that spot to Chalobah and let's get rid of a few other guys and bring some more development guys in, or maybe an older, bit more experienced guy to support and back up and whatever. Kind of like Tosin, right? Tosin's that kind of guy as well. But yeah, Trevor Chalobah just looks like he isn't going to get a shot. So is Jarrad Branthwaite the Trevor Chalobah replacement? Is that what we're looking at him for? Is he someone to come in and push Levi Colwill? I don't really know. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. It's an interesting one, I guess. And he looks a player. Definitely Everton have been really good since Moyes came back in. I haven't followed them really, really closely. So if I'm wrong about him having any involvement in that, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, Jarrad Branthwaite, okay. I haven't even seen figures, to be honest. I just keep seeing him popping up. Personally, for me, it's Mark Guehi. I want Mark Guehi to come back and, but I want Trevor Chalobah to stay as well, doesn't it? And they're both Chelsea boys at the end of the day. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens with that one. Plenty to digest, plenty to think about. And every single day stuff's coming up at the moment, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen quickly, because we've got this Club World Cup coming up and they want to win it. The uppers, the Blue Co guys really want this trophy. There's a lot of money in it now too. It's not like it used to be where it's this random weird mid-season tournament where you just play teams that no one's ever heard of and you might get someone good in the end. No, it's actually like a reasonably decent competition now, and the prize money is substantial and is, on top of getting Champions League football. If we can go deep into this, I don't know if you have to win it to get any money, but if we can at least go deep into this competition, give a load of our new signings and some other guys some opportunities, keep some people fit, give a couple of people a break, yeah, it's important. So stuff's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Stuff's going to happen, and I am going to be back here talking to you about it, because we love silly season, don't we? Because it's silly and it releases all the dopamine and it, reminds us of playing FIFA when we were a kid. Ultimately, that's kind of what it's there for, isn't it? It's, it's become almost as big a part as, it's like such a massive part of football now as the transfer season. People go absolutely crazy for it. But yeah, that's it. That's today's video, guys. A little bit of a transfer ramble. I am looking forward to there being a little bit more concrete information to talk about and report on. But, we'll just see what comes out. We'll see what comes out, and hopefully some stuff comes out soon, and hopefully we don't make any silly decisions too quickly. Nice one, guys. Thanks for sticking around until the end of the video if you did. As I said before, please hit some of those algorithmic buttons. People like you can help a guy like me just by clicking a few buttons. So help me out, man. Help me out. Let's do this. I want to be here and talk to you about football all of the time and tell you how ridiculous our club is, but also how much I love it. So yes, guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for sticking around. Hopefully we'll get some more concrete information around soon, like some, a bit more, this is happening, maybe we get a Liam Delap picture soon with him signing his contract, or maybe we get a bit more about Jamie Gittins, because that seems to be the hot one at the moment. Either way, I will be back soon talking Chelsea with you. Take it easy, guys. Have a lovely day, and I will catch up with you soon. Peace.